right, in this video, we are going to talk about the different types of fall hazards in construction. And the instruction on what you'll do here is that I want you to review all of the information provided in the study guide. And then your testing quiz is going to instruct you on where do you go in the standards to find the fall prevention or fall protection information. Okay, and so let's just talk about some of the major types as OSHA describes these things. And falls, again, that's the most frequent form of injury, right? Falls cause the most injury, even death, okay? The Bureau of Labor Statistics found that the leading cause of workers' death, 48%, were due to falls. And so it is very important as an OSHA trainer for me to try to help you understand the seriousness of this topic and to do your best to, if your manager, definitely protect all of your employees to keep your business operating well, you know what I mean? And if you're a worker, you know, there may be situations and times where people are not looking out for your best interest. And so you should know these things for yourself. Not only if you're at home, at work, right? But even at home, when you're doing stuff at home, trying to fix up the house, these are also things that you should consider and understand. All right. So for our roofing brothers and sisters out there, okay, are one of the number one is unprotected edges. Okay, that's one. Roof and floor openings. And when you work on structural steel at high levels, you know, it's called the leading edge. Okay, and so again, all of this is in your study guide. Okay, you know, of course, now let's talk about the unprotected sides and roofs. Okay, there's certain procedures, again, that I'm going to ask you in your quiz. What do you do for openings? What's the procedure? What is OSHA require? What's the standard? And what is the number? Okay, so, of course, if off the sides, you can fall, right? And if there are holes there, you can fall. So just think of the many ways that you've seen construction, right? You've always seen, you know, the railing at the perimeter of all buildings, okay? So you can start to think, yeah, that's probably a standard. I see that all the time. But there are certain other standards when you have the holes in the roof and the openings and stuff from skylights. And there's been so many injuries from people falling through the holes designed for skylights. And so just very quickly, you know, if that is the case, you know, there are a number of things you can do. Of course, you're going to have the guardrails around it, close it with plywood, you know, cone it around it, make it very obvious that there is a opening there. And in the best case scenario, you'll have a worker, a flagger, or somebody there that it needs to stay open that says, hey, you know, this is the situation, and make it very noticeable, okay? And so falls to lower levels, you know, almost certainly cause death, okay? So unprotected sides, and we're talking about major types of fall hazards, okay? Unprotected sides, roof openings, and that structural steel leading edge. Okay, so as far as the structural steel erection, you know, that's up the stories, right? And so the rate of worker-related deaths among those folks, you know, is 10 times the rate of everyone else, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, so another hazard is improper scaffold construction, okay? And so one of the major things, the things that happen, the lack of the guardrails on them, that's one, and then the planking and the support given away, okay? And so basically without, when we talk about scaffolds, without fall protection, okay, or safe access, you know, there's a whole lot of injuries that can take place. So the standard is, and this will be something to think about. What is the standard? Okay. guard rail or personal fall arrest system for fall prevention protection are required for workers on platforms 10 feet or higher. Okay, and so we're talking about in general, or in particular, in general, fall protection, in particular, scaffolds. Okay, and so the standard that the OSHA standard set is that there must be guardrails or a personal fall protection system, okay, for platforms 10 feet or higher. So we have the 10 feet or higher for some situation, right? And then you've also heard 6 feet, and so you have to make sure you know the difference, okay? So as far as, again, let's recap, fall hazards, that's what we're talking about. What are the major fall hazards in construction? 1, unprotected edges, roof and floor openings. 2, improper scaffold construction. And now 3, unsafe portable ladders. Okay, and so, things like you slip off the ladder, you overreach, you put it in stupid positions. Okay, and actually this causes about 100 deaths per year. Okay, and so the standard, and I'm going to ask you to find me that number, okay, for portable ladders. The top of the ladder must extend 3 feet above any landing. Okay, so I'm trying to make OSHA very simple, very practical. What do we have? Scaffolds. We're talking about fall protection. Okay, and so we have those 3 things that cause, where OSHA has said these are the 3 things that cause you to fall. Unprotected edges on roofs, the roof and the floor openings, leading edges on structural steel. 2, improper scaffolds construction. 3, ladders. Now, there's a standard for each one of these, and you're going to have to find what that is and where it is and what the number is. So there's a standard for that 10 times 10 feet up for the scaffold, 3 feet above the landing for the ladder. Okay, so let's go into fall protection training now. We know the hazards. Okay, so I'll give you a heads up on where you're going to begin to look, okay, for your standards related to fall protection. Okay, so the standard for fall protection, 29 CFR 1926. 1926 is our basic number, and then all of the laws begin after that. So it's 1926.503. Okay, and so how can you protect yourself? Basically, the use of fall protection equipment, that's first and foremost. You must have fall protection equipment. Standard, it says that in our standards. I'm going to ask you to find that. So, how can you protect? First, the proper fall protection equipment, that's number 1. 2, because improper ladder use from the previous section is a major concern. Well, guess what? How can you protect yourself against fall hazards? Safe ladder use, and we have a standard for that. And then last but not least, training, always training. Okay, and so just very quickly, the major types of fall protection equipment. Okay, so guardrails. Okay, there's a standard for that number, safety net systems, and personal fall arrest. Okay, so I want you to look through and find, and I mean, part of your study for OSHA is to know where to go in the standards, okay? So guardrails are considered prevention systems, right? Because they stop you from falling in the first place, okay? And so that's kind of like a preferred, because it's what we call passive, right? You don't have to do anything. You won't fall if they're there. You don't have to put anything on, right? You don't have to position it in any way. If it's there, you won't fall. Okay, so this is a more positive way of keeping you secure. So anytime, with the guardrails, yeah, that's the most considered, the one we want to use the most. Now, if we got to get a little dangerous and once you fall, right, if the guardrail's not there, whatever, or if the situation doesn't allow for that, right? It's all about what the construction situation allows for. Okay, so next we go to the safety net systems, and basically they're designed to help you break your fall once you have fallen. Okay, and so, we don't want that, but OSHA says it needs to be placed as close as possible, as practical, under the working surface, but never more than 30 feet. And then the personal fall arrest systems. Okay, so the anchor, the connectors, the harness, that's the personal fall arrest system. So how do you protect yourself? The use of fall protection. So 3 types: guardrails, safety net systems, personal fall arrest. Okay, and so for scaffold work, guardrails and personal fall arrest system, that's required if you're 10 feet or higher. Okay, 10 feet. Okay, so there'll be some handouts and good stuff like that. And so let's talk about training. Okay, training, that's, to keep yourself out of trouble, and keep in mind, you have to have proof of this training. Okay, you have to have signatures, you have to have dates, you have to have times, you have to have how much time, okay? And so fall protection guidelines pretty much for your employees would include, having a written fall protection plan so they can, pull it out the notebook, read it. Okay, also attend and participate in fall protection or prevention training. And using it if it's required on the job, making sure it fits. It has to be inspected for holes, rips, tears. Okay, have an idea of what you do. Just, it should just be like a muscle memory. If we're roofers, we've got this, because we're dealing with all the fall hazards if we're a roofer, right? We're up higher than 10 feet. There may be openings in the roof, and we're at the edge. Okay, so specialized training, especially for roofers. Okay, specialized training if you're using scaffold, of course, right? You just don't climb them like your monkey, that kind of stuff, okay? So always have your training. These are some of the things, but you will have to review this, okay? This is just me telling you the main portions of this, okay? And then last but not least, what are employers required to do? So if you're part of a safety program, you're the safety manager. Well, this, in terms of falls, right? We're only talking about falls. We are only talking about practice. This is what you have to do. You have to provide fall protection, period. So the harnesses, the safety, the guardrails when they're needed, all of that. You have to ensure proper scaffold construction, of course. You want to make sure there's, a knowledgeable person that can identify when it's not proper or correct things when they notice it. And with scaffolds, that's a separate class we're going to have. So there's step 1, step 2, step 3 when we talk about the scaffold construction, and how to check it and hazards and what to do. Okay, and so also ensure that ladders are safe and make sure even as when I was a claims adjuster, we had training on how to get on a ladder because we had to get files or something. Okay, so everybody has to teach how to use a ladder on the job site. Conduct work site maintenance and provide training. Okay, and so what is my employer required to do to protect me from falls? Provide fall protection, the items themselves. Ensure if you are using scaffolds that they're properly constructed. Ensure that there has been ladder training and that you continue the proper use. always conduct work site maintenance. The work site changes all throughout the day. Somebody should be on that. And again, there are certain standards for housekeeping, right, in construction, and we'll go over that too. And last but not least, what you're doing right now, provide training and make sure there is proof of that. Okay, and so make sure you go through all of this information. For instance, standards on fall protection is there. See CFR subpart M, fall protection 1926-500. Okay, so everything is here in the module. There are all the links for the study information because when you have to take that quiz, the answer is going to be deep, deep, deep inside many of these pages and also within the standards. So if you have any questions, please let me know. But this is the conclusion of the fatal or focus 4, number 1, and our most dangerous, the one that causes the most injury and death, falls. Review everything in full and make sure you get a satisfactory score from me before moving on to the next of the focus 4, caught in between, or however you want to do them, but they're all together. Ask me any questions you need to, but good luck.